we're going to be having this 45 minutes to an hour together, what would be your most beneficial time spent here? What would you like to work on?
I discovered that I have an operating kind of a program that what it looks like is hesitation. What it feels like as a metaphor is I drive around with my foot on the brake. Mm-hmm. And I discovered this as I was building my website. And what I discovered was that I was more concerned about not creating a negative impression. Mm-hmm. And that took a long, as a result of that, it took a long time to build this website because I kept wanting to not create a negative impression.
Okay.
As
Can I
thought,
just ask you a question? Sorry to interrupt. Is it okay if I take some notes
Please.
as you? Okay.
And then as I discovered, you know what, that's really kind of how I sort all the time.
Okay.
And so I'd really like to be different about that.
Okay. So you said the words that I don't want to create a negative impression and that you have a sense that you've got a foot on the brake.
It feels like I drive, yeah, I mean, the reality is I have a huge engine. I'm very talented. And I keep my foot on the brake. And as a result, I almost always get what I truly want. I can accomplish, I have accomplished, but I notice that it takes me longer than I would need to. And it just is more wearying than it has to be by having my foot on the brake.
How long has it been on there for?
It's always on there, it seems like, you know?
Okay. Always?
Almost always.
Okay. When you...
Well,
okay.
Not in my relationship with my son, not in the relationship with a woman that I'm dating, not in certain contexts.
Okay, so where specifically then is it?
In work, in new situations and contexts, always
Okay.
there.
Okay. New situations and contexts, what do you mean by that?
Well, coaching is new for me,
Okay.
so building a website was new for me.
Okay. When you think about stepping off this chair at the end of our time together, what would you specifically like to be different? So you say that you have this sense that the foot's on the brake and that you don't want to make a negative impression, and you said it's in work and coaching, you came up with building the website, anything that's new, and it's not in all contexts. So what is going to be the change in you? What would be the words that you want to use to describe how this is going to be different when you step off here?
I've thought a lot about this, and I don't want the word there at all. I don't want hesitation in my vocabulary at all. I don't want to even be thinking about the impression I'm creating in a way that limits me at all. I want to be able to just trust that it'll be okay. So I guess trust, maybe. That it will be okay. Maybe that's it.
What was that awareness you just had?
The trust part, I think.
Okay. So trust that what will be okay?
The outcome.
Okay.
That you know, it'll be okay. Whatever I do, however I show up, will be okay. It's not bad.
Okay. How would you know that you'd got to that point where whatever I do, however I show up, however I am, is okay? How will you know you've got to that place?
The feeling of driving around without my foot on the brake.
Okay.
And so there would be some acceleration and more fluidity.
Okay.
And more ease and comfort.
Okay.
It would just feel better, less
Okay.
heavy.
Okay. So if it's less heavy, how will it be?
Light.
Okay, so you'll feel light.
Yeah. A real quality of lightness of being.
Lightness of being.
I like that.
What do you like about that?
Oh, it just feels great.
Okay,
A lightness of being.
okay.
Okay, that's what I want.
Okay, a lightness of being. Is there any specific context where we're going to measure that in? Is there, when we think about at the end of this session how we're going to measure that you've got this, is there a specific time and context that you can currently think of in your life where this old thing of the thinking and the language that you were using of not creating a negative impression and this real away from that you had there in your work and so on, is there a specific context that we can measure this in at the end there?
When you say context, do you mean I'm back in
Particular
Washington, D.C.
situation.
and I'm doing something?
Yeah.
Well, now that I have the website up, my commitment to myself was to become public with this.
Okay.
So any visibility any activity that has visibility
Okay.
attached to it would be a context.
Okay. Would that be a good one if that when you think about it now, the old frames of mind come into play?
Definitely.
Would that be something tangible that we would be able to measure, that you at the end would be able to measure the difference in? Because this is an intangible thing, this feeling. What would that be something that you could measure it against?
It feels like I could measure it.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay. So let's just clarify the criteria a little bit further. Is that okay?
Sure.
So you said you've got a feeling of acceleration, you feel a sense of ease and comfort, and you feel a sense of lightness of being.
Mm-hmm.
What would be different in your speech? Because you mentioned the words that currently that there's some language in there that's with the foot on the accelerator. If you don't have language like that, what would be different in your words?
I'm not sure I understand. What would be different in my words?
Well, you said that at the moment you think with your foot on the accelerator and you think about not making a negative impression. And you also said that your language lets you know that you're currently doing that. How will your language change once we've got to this place?
My response to that is I think the language would be in my body.
Okay,
It would be showing up different.
okay,
It's not about choosing the right or wrong words for me.
okay,
It's about choosing the way to show up.
okay.
So I think that's how, does that fit?
Does it fit for you?
Yeah, it fits for me.
Okay, so it's about how your body shows up.
Yeah, it's a gestalt.
Okay. Each time with that you sit up like that. Is that part of it?
Yeah, it's definitely a part of it. It's showing in there. It's showing up wherever I go in these contexts where I want to raise my visibility with respect to coaching, relaxed, with a lightness of being. I think the lightness of being is the key nugget here.
Okay. If we were to measure that and to scale that now, how much do you have that lightness of being now in the context we're going to measure it in?
Probably a 3 or a 4, because if I'm got my foot on the brake, I'm peeking behind myself to make sure I'm doing okay.
Okay.
That's guarded.
Okay.
I don't want to do that.
Okay. So where are we wanting to raise that to by the end of our time together?
I'd like to get it to a 10. I would, if that's possible. I mean, I would like to just show up with a lightness of being, and that's just the way I am.
Okay. Okay. So a 10, is that what you want to shoot for at the end here?
Yeah.
Is that realistic and achievable, do you feel?
I don't know. An 8 would get me there, I guess.
Okay. So an 8 is the minimal and a 10 would be where you'd like to get to.
Realistically, if I showed up with an 8, I will have accomplished my goal.
Okay.
That would be good enough.
Okay. Would that be good enough for our outcome today?
That would be fine for our outcome today.
Okay. So it's going to grow from a 3 or a 4 to an 8?
Yeah.
Okay. And what will be the qualities that are different in the lightness of being? How will you know that it's grown?
Well, I've had the gift of having feedback pointed out to me, hopefully for the last time, about my quality of emotional expressiveness when I'm in relationship
Okay.
to others
Okay.
in new contexts. So I'm about sick and tired of hearing that feedback.
Had enough of that?
I've had enough.
Okay.
So I would like to replace that with some emotional expressiveness that would reflect the lightness of being.
Okay. So tell
That's
me,
how I would know.
emotional expressiveness, what does that mean to you? What would that look like? How would we see that, or how will you know that you're being more emotionally expressive?
I am naturally enthusiastic. I am high energy. I'm always curious. And I'm personable. So I think I just like to be that, unguarded all the time in those contexts.
Okay.
In all contexts, for Christ's sakes.
Okay. Do you want to be unguarded all the time? Is that all the time?
Yeah. I don't think I need to be guarded. I think in the context of coaching specifically,
Okay.
I know enough. I have enough skill through the years to be able to go in there without a shield on.
Okay. Okay. So just checking that through. So when the shield's gone and you'll be more emotionally expressive, is it something that you'll hear that's different in your voice or
Yeah.
in your face or your hands? Or
It'll be all of it. It'll be the quality of my voice, less monotone probably,
So if it's less monotone, what will it be?
variable,
Okay.
enthusiastic, expressive,
Okay.
playful,
Okay.
inviting, fun.
Okay. So you've said that you'll hear this, will you? And others will?
Yeah.
Okay. That it'll be a variable, enthusiastic, expressive, playful, fun tone of voice.
Right. Happy to be there.
Okay. Are you already happy to be there?
I can feel it.
Okay.
Like I'm happy to be here.
Okay. So if that's our measure for the end of the session, that in your voice, that you're able to express it in that way in the context that you're thinking of when you're back in Washington, D.C., and that we can also see that in you and hear that in you, would that be...
That'd be a great outcome.
Okay, does that fit, they're your words, does that fit the distinctions and the criteria that you're looking for?
Well, it's one of them. I'd like also to physically feel and be happy,
Okay.
engaged, and not guarded,
Okay.
and light. I think
Okay.
this lightness of being is the nugget.
Okay. So with that physical lightness of being, what will you experience? So we've chosen the details of the voice qualities. What will be different in the physical?
Relaxed breathing. I've been told my face can be really intense, so I'd probably want some relaxation in my face.
How will you know you've got that? Because you'll feel relaxed in your breathing. How will you know in your face?
I probably need to pay more attention to make sure I'm smiling, or at least
Okay.
the corners of the mouth.
Okay. So you'll be able to
Turned up.
feel that, will you?
I could feel that.
So feel my corners of my mouth.
Yeah.
Okay. How does that sound to you?
It feels good.
Feels good.
Yeah.
Okay. So when you think about that at the end of our time together, when we step off here, that you will be able to hear, and that we'll be able to hear, in a variability in your tone of voice, an enthusiasm in your voice, expressiveness of play and fun in the tone of your voice, and that you'll also be able to feel relaxed breathing and also feel the corners of your mouth and be aware of what they're doing.
Right.
Is there anything missing from that?
Well, what came up was, and maybe this is unrealistic, but I would like to not have to feel like I have to constantly check on myself for that.
Okay. Okay. So how will you know when you're not checking on yourself? What will you be doing?
I suspect that I'll know that I've done that successfully when I walk out of a context and it really felt great.
Okay.
And I walk out of there feeling light.
Okay. So that will be something that maybe we'll measure when we check in with one another after this session and you go back into Washington
Yeah.
and we review this. Would that be a good measure for that?
I think so.
Okay. Okay. So are you happy and satisfied with those two key criteria which all come out under your chosen distinction of a lightness of being?
Yes.
Okay. And that's what you want to spend your time on today?
That's what I want to spend my time on today.
Okay. Have you made a decision to step into that lightness of being and to create that in yourself?
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
The time is now. I'm sick of this riding around with the foot on the brake.
Okay. When did you make this decision?
I've been arriving at it when I decided that coaching was what is next for me. And that I did not want to, at the end of my days, look back on them and saying I was hesitant there too. So
Okay.
it's very important to me that I enter into this in the right frame.
Okay. When you say enter into this into the right frame, how do you know that you don't have the right frame now?
Because I still enter into these kinds of contexts with some hesitation.
Great. What are those hesitations?
Well, the hesitation around the impression that I'm creating, I might create.
Okay.
So as you asked me to think about this, I noticed that it's not that I fear that I make a mistake or look like an amateur as I really think about this. What I've noticed I've been paying attention to is my fear of the feeling of making a mistake. That's what I obsess on, if anything. And so that's what I want to stop doing. Forget this focus on how I'm feeling about being incompetent or whatever.
What does making a mistake or being incompetent mean to you?
Well, I've come a long way with this, but it still has some lingering quality of not good enough. Incompetent. Pretty much that.
And as you said those words, where did you go then?
Feeling it.
Okay. What's behind this concept of not being good enough?
Where did it originate?
Not where did it originate, you can answer that if that's important to you, but what drives that? What do you believe about not being good enough?
There's a negative consequence to that, very negative. I have a history of receiving some pretty negative and harsh feedback around in context where I didn't do as well as I guess they should have thought I should have.
And what conclusions did you draw from that?
Well, the conclusion that I drew from that is to never, ever risk being incompetent publicly. That's a mistake.
Okay.
Because I don't want to have that kind of feedback. It's very painful to me.
Okay, so did you make a decision then, did you, Peter, to never, ever risk?
Looking incompetent. Yeah,
Okay. So is that what drives it?
I think so.
Okay. So when you step back from that decision and you think about that decision, how is that decision currently affecting the way that you be?
That's the quality of the foot on the brake.
Okay.
I know I'm talented. I know I'm a talented guy.
Okay.
I have a huge engine. And it's a shame to have the brake on. There's a poem, poetry is very important to me, and one in particular by David Whyte where the final line, and I think the poem's called Sweet Darkness, and he says that any thinking or person that does not bring you alive is too small for you. This is too small for me, this thinking. So I want to suck it up, find the courage, do something to be different here.
Okay.
So I can get to the potential that I know I have, where, particularly in a chosen career, where I know I can be great at it if I get out of my own way.
Okay. So when you think about that old decision that was driving that old way of being, and you step back and away from that completely now, and I might actually even invite you to change chairs with me if you'd like to.
Okay.
I'm going to ask you, as you step back from that, if you were to have a new way of being and to have a new sense of identity and a new decision that you'd need to make, when you step back from that and you think about the desired way of being that you'd like to be in the world, what new decision would you need to make? What would be the most empowering decision that you could make that would invite you to be able to be fully who you want to be, with that lightness of being?
That the joy is in the learning. It's in the discovery. It's in the becoming competent where the fun is. Hell, that's what I'm coaching. If I can't, I mean, I've got to do this before I coach it.
Okay. So the joy is in the learning.
The joy is in the learning. The joy is in the question. The joy is in the discovery. The joy is in becoming competent. That's where I want to live. Doesn't really feel good to say that, but I'm telling you, I think that's probably the solution.
Okay. So when you think about this direction, where were you with that just then?
It feels difficult to make this shift.
So what would you need to believe to be able to fully believe that?
I would need to be able to believe that if I didn't, if I chose this, there wouldn't be pain on the other side. And shame and embarrassment.
Okay.
That's what I would need to believe.
Okay. And what if there was? What would you need to believe if there was?
Pain and shame and embarrassment on the other side?
So let's just say there was. Let's just go into that. Let's welcome that shame and pain in.
Well, then I would need to believe that that's okay too.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So what did you just do then?
Well, I guess I had my first glimpse of permission to have some permission to feel ashamed and embarrassed and in pain.
Okay. How does that feel?
Better,
Okay.
not great.
Okay. So if we just sort of welcome that in, how would you welcome that in even more?
How would I welcome in feeling ashamed?
What would you need to do? What would you need to do to be able to fully just be with that? What would you need to believe about pain and shame and embarrassment and...
Well, I think I can live with pain, but I'd prefer not to live with shame at all.
Okay.
And embarrassment, I wish that would be just fleeting.
So what permission do you have, and you used the words just a moment ago, that you had the moment experience of being able to have permission to feel those things. If you went ahead and actually gave yourself permission, how would that be? Would you like to have permission to be able to, as different
To be
emotions
slightly
come,
embarrassed.
and that you might have a moment where you're actually very embarrassed? Would you like to have permission that if that came along, and it just came along, that you actually had permission to be able to fully be embarrassed?
Yeah, I would like that.
Okay, so how does that work if you go inside and in whatever way fits for you to give yourself permission to be able to feel that, to be with that?
Actually, that feels okay.
Okay,
Gloriously fallible, I think I heard one time.
okay. Do you like that?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so let's just try that on and see what that does or doesn't do.
That feels all right.
Okay. What does that open up?
Well, it becomes funny.
Okay. So it becomes funny? What are you realising about it when it's funny?
It's just me being a human being, I guess.
Okay.
You know, it's just Pete. Don't want to say the word, but
You can say it.
it's just Pete fucking up.
Great. And is that okay for Pete to fuck up?
Well, it is now. I can live with that.
Okay.
Actually, it may be great fun.
Well, we wouldn't want you to have too much fun being a human being, would we?
Actually, I would.
Oh, you would? Okay. I'm glad you confirmed that.
I mean, I can imagine myself just laughing in that moment and not taking it too serious. That, again, this lightness of being with
Yep.
it, and it
Okay.
will just dissolve,
Okay.
and then I'm on with it.
Okay. So when you think about this lightness of being, you crack up.
Well, it's a wonderful state. It
Sounds like
is.
you like it.
I like it a lot.
Okay. You mentioned that it's about being a human being. What do you believe and understand about being human? And just being a human being and being a part of a human?
It's an interesting question. I don't know that I've ever really asked it much. I guess I would say it's a part of the experience. It's part of the whole human experience.
What do you believe about having a part of the whole human experience? Why is that important to you?
That's, if I want to stay in the question, love the learning, live in the competency building thing, that's what's required, to be fully present in that.
And is that important to you?
Yeah.
To be fully present in that?
Yeah. Yeah.
You shared with us during the week that one of your guiding metaphors in your life is the hero's journey.
Yes, it is.
How does this awareness and this understanding of being able to be with your embarrassment, with your shame, and with all of your emotions, how does this relate to that driving metaphor for your life?
Well, I could make this a hero's journey thing, where I have been called to the adventure, and I've accepted it, as I've heeded the call, as Campbell would say. And I've decided to go on the path and take what comes. And that, I love living in that metaphor. Then, of course, the fourth part of the last step of the hero's journey is to bring it back, what you have learned back. So this would really make me a better coach, really inform the quality of coaching that I could do from that point forward. With me, it's me walking my talk, and that's really important to me.
So that aspect before bringing it back and doing that part of it, you said just taking what comes.
Yeah.
Can we explore that a little
Sure.
bit further? Tell me more about that. What do you understand with this new permission and this new, as you said, acceptance of taking the call and just taking what comes? What do you understand, or what are you realising about this now?
Well, if I've signed up for this, then guess what's going to come? Opportunities to be embarrassed.
Okay.
So, all right, let's go.
Okay. Are you ready for it?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel you have all the resources? Do we need to add anything else to it at this stage? You've got permission, you said now. You said you've accepted the call. It even feels joyful and fun, you said.
Right. I need to announce this in my
Okay.
personal life.
Okay.
And so I have a circle of friends that will hold me accountable
Okay.
when I announce this.
Okay. What do you want to be held accountable to, Peter?
I want to be held accountable to this commitment to delete hesitation out of my life.
So the commitment to delete hesitation, so what are you committing to?
And I'm committing to a lightness of being.
Okay.
So I want to be held accountable to that,
Okay.
interestingly enough.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So when you think about the resources for that and about being in situations where you're going to go in, and what are you going to be doing differently now if you're not going to be, if you're okay with the embarrassment and you're okay with some of those things, and you said it could even be funny, what do you see yourself doing and acting like and revealing now that you haven't been? Now that foot's off.
Well, the foot's off, so I'm going to go into a new situation and just wing it.
Wing it.
Yeah.
How does that, when you try winging it on, what's that like?
Well, from the frame of I've already agreed to take on embarrassment,
Okay.
then okay, fine. I'll probably get embarrassed, and I said I was going to sign up to this.
Okay.
And then I'll kind of be wondering when it's going to happen. And that's okay too, because that's what I signed up for.
Okay.
And so there will be the curiosity. And it'll be a moving towards it instead of a hesitation of holding back.
Okay. What's that feel like now, this sense of moving towards?
It feels great.
How do you know that you're moving towards? How do you experience that?
Well, I'll feel it in the body. It will be a forward movement. It will
Okay.
feel like acceleration. It will feel like movement.
Okay. Okay. Feel like movement forward.
Yeah.
Acceleration, you said.
Yeah, even some acceleration.
Is your
to
foot
it.
over there now, is it?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's that feel like?
Well, it feels like I'm going to get to where what would have taken me 5 years in 3, what would have taken me 1 year in 6 months.
Okay.
I know I can do this. I want to do it faster.
Okay.
I want to do it more enjoyably.
Okay. So then what would you need to believe about yourself to do this?
Well, A, I'm great at building competency. I'm great at it.
Okay. And when you know that you're great at building competency, what does that open up about your sense of self? What do you realise about who you are? And
Well, it feels good. But maybe it's not just about building competency.
okay.
It felt okay, but that felt more in the performance domain.
Okay.
I want to feel it in the transformation domain.
Okay.
I think it was Galway who had the line, the ability to move in any desired direction without self-constraint. And to know that about myself would be huge.
So what would you need to believe to know that, Peter? To know that about yourself?
That I can.
Okay. Do you believe that?
Can I move in any desired direction without self-constraint? Can I do that? Yeah, I can do that.
So you believe that about yourself?
Yeah.
What supports you believing that about yourself, about who you are?
What supports that? Well, I'm incredibly gifted and talented, and I believe I'm guided.
Okay. Tell me more about that. You believe you're gifted and talented, and you believe that you're guided. What do you mean by that?
I think there's somebody looking out for me.
Okay.
I do. I think there's, well, I'll go to another quote, the one, my favorite from Goethe about at the moment one chooses commitment, then providence moves too.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that happen over and over again.
Mm-hmm.
In my life and in others.
Okay.
And so, all I need to do is to believe that completely, that the moment I choose to act, then providence will too.
Okay.
And will support me in all manner of unseen events that I had never even imagined.
What's providence mean to you when
That's
you
my
use that
relationship
word?
to the divine.
Okay. And what does that mean to you at this high level of your relationship to the divine? And you think about what that means to you.
What that means to me is I am loved at the level of the divine. And this is what the divine wants for me.
And when you be fully with that love, as you experience that now, fully with that love.
That's really quite wonderful.
Okay. How fully are you with that love now?
That's pretty awesome.
Okay. If you take a snapshot of this love right now, this love of you being loved, on a scale of 0 to 10, how fully are you in this state of love?
I think I have that at about an 8.
Okay. So just allow yourself to let that sense and that knowing of being loved to completely inform your whole being, your whole body. And allow it to fill itself all the way through, so it's inside your breath, it's inside your eyes, it's inside all of your being. And I'm going to invite you to take that snapshot, that sense of feeling, and to look at yourself with those eyes.
Well, he's a good-looking guy. Fun, too.
Okay, so can you welcome that in?
Yeah, I can.
Does that settle okay?
That feels fine.
How does that or not strengthen and reinforce your sense of being? Your lightness of being?
Well, it's essential to it. That's the well I need to go to get and stay light.
And have you got that now?
I think I have that now.
Okay.
That's a great metaphor for me.
Okay. Tell me more about this metaphor.
Well, you know, I think I've had it in my mind for quite a while. I just don't think I brought it into the body.
Okay.
This experience is getting it into the body a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that what I'd like to do is make it a kind of a prayer.
Okay.
That in the morning I get up and I do it
Okay.
as a kind of a prayer.
Okay.
Maybe do it several times a day as a kind of a prayer.
Okay.
It's the way that I call myself to it,
Okay.
so that it informs the lightness of being.
Okay. So the ritual of the prayer, what does that mean to you, doing it as a ritual?
It becomes a spiritual practice.
Okay,
And for me, it has to be spiritual.
okay, so that's important to you.
It is important to me.
Okay.
This is about spiritual direction.
Is that what you're realizing now?
Yeah. For me, coaching is spiritual direction. I don't care at what level.
Okay. So when you think about that now, what would you need to get it fully in your body now? You said it's more in my body. What would you need to do to fully get it into your body now? Would you need to add anything else to it? Would you need to stand up and move around?
No, I think it's there. Now it's a commitment to prayer.
Okay. How do you know it's there?
I feel it.
How do you feel it?
Ready to go.
Okay. Are we ready to test it a little bit then?
Sure.
So I'm going to invite you now to be able to, what would be embarrassing to you?
Oh, crap. Answering that question. Singing the Star Spangled Banner.
Okay. How embarrassing would that in the past have been to you?
Pretty friggin' embarrassing.
Okay. Are you up for it?
Oh,
have you
God.
taken the call?
I've taken the call.
Because you told me you made a commitment to this call.
Here we go.
And I've just decided I'm a friend. I just put myself in there, I'm sorry.
All right, so let's go. You singing with me?
Well, I don't even know it, so I'm sorry, I can't.
Neither do I.
So, are you ready?
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly you, I forget the words, by the starlight last gleaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave truth through the night that our flag was still there. Jose, can you, I forget the rest of it, banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave. Thank you. That was pretty damn funny.
So how do you feel?
That was awesome. So I sang one time in the 3rd grade. It was embarrassing as hell, and I chose never to do it publicly again.
Woo! Funny things happen when you make new decisions, don't they?
That was pretty cool. So how was it for you?
So, what a beautiful self-organising loop. Part of your outcome was that by the end of it, you'd be able to measure that you'd used your voice with a different tonality, with varying flexibility. Did you do that?
Yeah,
Yes.
I did.
That you had play and fun in it.
I did.
Did you do that?
Yes, I did.
That you also had, let's get our list here. That you specifically had variability, enthusiasm. Did you have enthusiasm in your
There was
voice?
some enthusiasm there.
Did you have play and fun in it?
I
Yes.
did.
Can we tick that off?
Yes, we can.
Great. The other one was that you would feel in yourself, at this point in time, that you would feel relaxed in your breathing, and that you would feel and be aware of the corners of your mouth.
Pretty much all there.
And we also said that we'd be able to see it in you. Did we see that? So we're going to actually take this and just now check into the future, because part of our test was that when you go back to Washington DC, that you'd be able to go into an environment and experience yourself revealing more of yourself without any of those old things that were in your head, and you'd have this lightness of being. So would you like to just go into the future now?
Sure.
And to be able to see yourself there, being, doing, and whatever you will be doing in your new way of being, and notice that if this is all there or not.
Yeah. I mean, I'm watching myself go into the Tower Club in Washington, D.C.
Okay. The Terror Club?
Tower
Okay.
Club. It's a place where executives spend a lot of money.
Okay.
And being light in that kind of a setting.
Okay.
And that's attractive.
Okay. Our measure was that you'd get to at least an 8 now. Where are you at now?
I'm at an 8.
Okay. You happy with that?
I'm very pleased with that.
What were you about to say?
Happy as hell.
Okay. Now, we just want to clarify what the actions are that you're going to complete between... When would you and I like to check in on this?
End of August.
Okay.
I will have announced this to my circle of friends.
Okay.
I will have chosen one context to do it,
Okay.
at least.
Okay. Will you just have chosen by the end of August? Will you have done
I
it?
will have chosen and done it.
Okay. Context and done it. What will you be doing?
Going to some setting, finding a setting, a context, an event
Okay.
that is likely to have some prospects,
Okay.
and meeting and greeting as many people as possible, and doing that meet and greet thing we've been practicing all week.
Okay. Okay, great. Are there any steps or smaller steps, or is this the first step?
That'd be a great step.
Okay,
I need to
great.
get business cards printed.
Okay, so we've got the business cards being printed. What about, also you mentioned the prayer, I tracked that before.
Oh my! I need to.
How would you like to start with that?
I would like to construct a prayer.
Okay.
If that's the word. I think I'll choose
That's the word
that
you used before.
I like that word for this.
Okay.
And to call the divine through the Geth quote,
Okay.
to mobilize providence.
So you're going
to
to create a
work as I
prayer.
choose.
So they're some of the words already, are they?
Yeah.
Tell me a bit more about it.
I like the word mobilize providence.
Okay. Mobilize providence.
Just to announce, okay, I'm committing. Let's go.
Okay.
Show up.
Okay. So you've got that announcement with your prayer, you've got that announcement with those that you love and that are close to you. What's important about doing this with others? You've mentioned those closest to you. Why is that important to you to do this with others?
It goes to accountability.
Okay.
My favorite definition of accountability is it is protection against my infinite capacity for self-deception and important information about what needs to be done.
Okay.
So those that will hold me accountable will keep me from self-deception.
Okay, great. This new state of being, your lightness of being, and this sense of mobilising providence as you go through the world, and this new permission that you now have and that you've proven to yourself that you can be with this. How does this change how you think about your relationships in your life? Potential clients, loved ones and others. How does this change this sense of being you have now, your lightness of being, this providence? How does this change your relationship to others?
It will change in the direction that the quality of the engagement will be better. Much more playful, much more enjoyable and relaxed. Probably much more impactful.
Okay. Okay, great. When you think about your relationship to time in all of this, how does these new frames of mind,
Oh my God.
this new way of being, how does this change your experience of time?
Well, experience that my how in my mind how it would change would just get me there faster.
Okay,
It will get me there faster.
okay. When you're in the relationship, how and we're just being together, what happens to time now?
Well, time disappears in there.
Okay,
It becomes effortless
okay,
and timeless and more like the quality of flow.
okay. Quality of flow.
Yeah,
You like that?
I do.
Okay, okay,
And coaching has that quality though for me already.
okay.
So when I'm doing it, time disappears.
What if we go outside just the coaching and we go into the peripheral things that occur in the coaching relationships with time?
Say that again.
if we go outside the act of coaching and go to building your coaching business and those relationships and time.
Well, that feels more effortless too.
Okay.
And more fun, more like, wow, I get to do that today.
Okay. Okay. And when you think about this in terms of your abilities and your resources, and you bring the new awarenesses that you have to your abilities and resources, what are you aware of now?
Just feeling entirely resourceful.
You feel entirely resourceful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Energized, enthusiastic, no holding back.
No holding back.
Yeah.
Great. When you think about this in relationship to the world of coaching and the world of this business that you're building, what actually opens up for you? What's possible for you now, Peter?
Well, what's possible for me are workshops. What's possible for me is a business where I would hire coaches.
Okay.
What's possible for me is a book.
Okay. Wow.
What's possible for me is to bring my voice to the profession at this young age.
Great.
And I think I have a voice to bring.
Fantastic.
Okay.
So as you step back from all of this, what's been your best thing out of our time together?
Singing. Holy cow. Doing it. Yeah. Coming up with a prayer. Wonderful.
Well, thank you for inviting
Thank
me
you.
into your world.
Thank you so much.